In this video, we'll take a look at components, the core building blocks of a React application. We'll also discuss essential concepts that go into building and using a React component. Let's begin. Components help you break down a larger interface into smaller units that can be built and maintained independently. This means you do not build your interface as one big monolithic unit, but instead smaller units that work cohesively together. Facebook offers so many features such as social cards for images, video, and text, like and emotion buttons, the create post section, notifications, and so many other elements. Imagine all of these features as one big monolithic codebase. Developing such an application would not only pose logistical challenges, but maintaining such a codebase would itself be a monolithic task. And let's not even talk about errors and debugging. But with every feature designed as a component, not only can you develop them independently of other features, but also bring scalability into the equation. As individual components, features can be evolved without worrying about the rest of the architecture. Facebook uses more than 50,000 components and they are all built using React. This is what makes React a battle-hardened solution that you can bank on safely. Components are composable units that let you focus your energies on building great features. Add declarative rendering with state and the virtual DOM and you've got yourselves the right toolkit for building great user interfaces and apps. Remember, everything that you build with React is a component. Let's visualize a user interface and how components can help us break it down into manageable units. Here's a social card that you would typically see on a social media platform like Facebook. This card contains the user's profile picture, an image, a headline, and 3 call to action buttons for liking the post, commenting, and sharing the post. We also have a comments box at the bottom. To begin with, the social card itself would be a component that brings data in from a source and displays it on the UI. The social card component itself can be broken down into components. The profile component, for instance, is responsible for the profile picture and the name of the user. The post content component handles the text and image for the actual post. The CTA buttons house the like, comment, and share buttons, and the comment box lets the users type comments. By breaking down the UI into functional components, not only does this bring logic and sense into the design process, but it also makes manageability a breeze. For instance, when a new CTA button is to be added, then only the CTA buttons component needs to be edited. If we look at the hierarchy of components, then you'd get something like this. The actual data comes through the top level social card component and gets passed down in a one-way data flow to all the child components. React's one-way or unidirectional data flow order simply means that a parent component will pass down data to nested child components, typically using props, which act like inlets into a component. This unidirectional data flow order makes it easy to understand, implement, and debug common problems because we can easily recognize data sources and the flow. The bottom line here is components are reusable features that you can compose together to create a user interface. I'll stress on the reusability here because it lets you design components that can be used across multiple projects, saving you tons of time. By modularizing features, your UI scales efficiently as your app grows and can be efficiently maintained as well. It is thus not surprising that a vibrant React community has made several component packages that you can download and use in your projects without wasting any time in building them from scratch. Let's examine the basic anatomy of a component. Here we have an example of a class component, one of the two types of components that React offers. A component must implement a render function, which means that it must produce visual content that it would render on the page. For instance, if you've designed a component that should render a button, then it must implement a mechanism to visually render that button when the component is used. These render methods allow you to describe the DOM layout of your component using JSX, a JavaScript derivative that looks and feels a lot like HTML when you first start working with. But unlike HTML, JSX allows you to use JavaScript expressions directly in the layout. Components may also include state. Stateful components describe visual elements with data. As you change and modify this data, the component automatically re-renders to reflect the change. If your component features a visual element that the user can interact with, such as buttons or other elements, then you can implement event listeners to capture user interaction. Such event listeners can then be used to trigger methods. A method is simply a function that is private to a component and can be used for all sorts of things, from manipulating state to side effects such as fetching data from an API. Methods are optional and may not be needed in all cases. The interesting thing about React is that it is much more than a library to build interfaces for the web. React by itself is not limited to web pages and the DOM. It is a way to design composable components and functionality that can be used with a wide range of mediums. For instance, the React Native project lets you use React for designing mobile apps for iOS and Android. And you can write custom renderers as well. This separation of core logic and the renderer makes React an excellent library to work with.
If you're aspiring to become a skilled React developer, look no further than KnowledgeHut. With our outcome-based immersive learning approach, we are fundamentally disrupting the way new age technologies are learned. You'll get to learn, practice, assess, gain insights on your learning, and personalize your learning journey on our easy-to-navigate AI-powered skill-building platform, Prism. Stay tuned for more such videos and explore more about how you can equip yourself with immediately demonstratable in-demand skills that will help you get job ready. And don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon to get notified so you don't miss out on our upcoming videos.